In Kherson region, the armed forces of Ukraine hit 5 enemy targets overnight Friday. 2 targets were hit in the Novokakhovka district, and 1 target each in Chornobayevka, Oleshki, and Brylivka districts. Additionally, no civilians were injured in the attack. Zelensky also published the latest photos taken in Brylivka and appealed to local residents, who for various reasons had not fled the temporarily occupied territory of Kherson region, to stay away from Russian military infrastructure facilities and bases. The Ukrainian army goes very hard on the orcs, and this is just the beginning. If you were unable to evacuate, stay as far away from their military infrastructure and deployment sites as possible. Your life and health, as well as those of your loved ones, may depend on your actions. The armed forces will pursue their strikes because there is no other way to liberate our people and our region. Stay safe, Zelensky wrote. Over the past days, the armed forces struck 3 key targets in the region: the Antonivsky and Daryevsky bridges and the road over the Kakhovka HPP dam. The invaders attempted to quickly repair the bridges, and also built a pontoon crossing over the Ingolets River near the village of Daryevka. Since the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24, the armed forces of Ukraine have eliminated 40,500 occupiers. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported this on Facebook. The enemy's total combat losses from February 24 to July 29 amounted to about 40,500, the statement says. The armed forces of Ukraine suppressed Russian offensives and assaults in the areas of Avdiivka, Kamyanka, Krasnohorivka, and Pisky and repelled attempted assaults in the areas of Soledar, Vershina, and Semihirya. This is stated in the latest report of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine published on Facebook. As noted, there were no significant changes in the situation in Volyn and Polisia directions. There were no signs of the creation of offensive groups by the armed forces of the Russian Federation and the armed forces of the Republic of Belarus. In Siversky direction, the enemy continued to strike infrastructure objects with tube and rocket artillery in the border areas of Chernihiv and Sumy regions and conducted aerial reconnaissance by UAVs near the village of Ramaya in Chernihiv region. In Kharkiv direction, the enemy opened fire from tube and rocket artillery in the areas of Kharkiv, Rubizhna, Udy, Dementayevka, Slatin, Basilyevka, Paramoha, Mayak, Zamulivka, Lysny, Sosnivka, Svitlikny, Ivanivka, Korbachkin and others, launched an airstrike near Stary Saltiv. In Sloviansk direction, the enemy used tube, rocket artillery and tanks near Dolina, Bohorodikny, Kurulka, Harushevaka, Vernopilia, Sulihivka, and several other localities. Enemy army aviation operated near Husarivka. In the area of Shorivka, Ukrainian defenders discovered and neutralized a reconnaissance group of the occupiers, the General Staff informed. In Kramatorsk direction, the enemy shelled the areas of Siversk, Ivano-Daryevka, Kryva Luka, Serebryanka, Ryhorivka, Ezvanivka, Spern, and Vyimka. The airstrike was recorded near Serebryanka and Spern. A reconnaissance group of the occupiers was exposed near Verkhnyokamyansky, fire damage was inflicted, and the group retreated. The enemy also carried out aerial reconnaissance by UAVs. In Bakhmut direction, the invaders shelled military and civilian infrastructure with artillery and tanks in the areas of Shumy, Kodyma, Soledar, Bakhmut, Vesela Dolina, Travnev, Zaitsev, Vershina, and other localities. In addition, airstrikes were launched near Pokrovsky, Novoluhansky, Soledar, and Vesela Dolina. The invaders again tried to assault Soledar, Vershina, and Semihirya areas but failed, suffered losses, and retreated. In Avdiivka direction, the enemy hit the areas of Pavlivka, Avdiivka, Vesel, Vuhledar, Vodian, Velika Novosilka, Pisky, Novokhalinov, Krasnohorivka, Shevchenko and others. All offensives and assaults of the occupiers in Avdiivka, Kamyanka, Krasnohorivka, and Pisky areas were resolutely suppressed by the units of the armed forces of Ukraine. The enemy did not conduct active offensives in Novopavlivsk and Zaporizhzhia directions, while continuing systematic shelling of civilian infrastructure near Vremivka, Olhivsky, Novopol, and many other localities. In the southern Ba direction, the enemy's main efforts are focused on preventing the advance of Ukrainian troops. In addition, the invaders shelled civilian and military infrastructure in the areas of Ivanivka, Tokareve, Karyern, Osakorivka, Blahodotne, Kobzertsi and more than 30 other localities.